to Beyond the Focus, where we talk about clarity, purpose, and really the people making real impact. Today, I'm really excited to be sitting down and talking with Kelly Climer, Senior Director of the Planning Giving at the V Foundation for Cancer Research. And the V Foundation was really one of the recipients for some proceeds of our most recent McIntosh Bell voting this year. We're really honored to be able to support and highlight the life-changing work here that you're doing, Kelly. So thanks so much for joining us today.
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you for that tremendous gift that you guys made to the V Foundation. It will definitely impact cancer research beyond what the gift was. So thank you.
Oh, it's wonderful. It's near and dear to my heart. I think it's so great of all the support, and we'll continue doing so. We are at an event in January where we're able to support the V Foundation as well, with one of our marketing organizations through Advisors Excel back in January. So that was pretty exciting. I'm proudly wearing my pin. So
I
that's
see
fun.
that. I love it. I have my Legacy Society V Foundation pin on today as well. So all branded up. I love it.
Uh, well, Kelly, you've dedicated nearly 2 decades to the nonprofit fundraising. And what can you tell me that first pulled you in about this work and keeps you passionate about it? And then maybe share a little bit more about the pins as well.
Yeah, so I started back in 2004. Started with my first national nonprofit, and really what drew me to it was that personal connection, getting to know the families and understand. It was actually with muscular dystrophies, so working with families that were affected by muscular dystrophies and things like that. After I did that for a little bit, then I went to a pediatric cancer nonprofit where I was blessed to start off really in the development. So working with those grassroots fundraisers like you all did with the golf tournament. And then that turned into planned giving, where I had the opportunity to work one-on-one with, in my opinion, the most loyal supporters of any nonprofit, our Legacy Society, our planned giving donors. These donors are donors that have truly made the nonprofit a part of their family by including the nonprofit in their will or estate plans. And I did that for about 10 years. And then in 2023, I joined the V Foundation. Prior to my starting, the V Foundation had always accepted planned gifts, of course, but not really put the emphasis that I believe that planned giving deserves. And so when they brought me on board, it's really when we started looking at ways to let our current donors know that this is an option for them and how to make a bigger impact even after life for cancer research. So I have been dedicated to the V Foundation for the last almost two years and a few months, spreading, not only awareness about the V Foundation, but then also cultivation, stewardship, and letting people know that this is an opportunity and option and a way to give.
Well, and it's so neat to get the word out there because you're right. And, planned giving too, it's a unique part of philanthropy. So how would you explain, with you bridging the gap to now focusing on the V Foundation for the past few years, how would you explain that to someone who's wondering, like, what is the V Foundation? How do I support, and why it could be important in someone's giving journey?
So the thing is, Jim Valvano, who many people may have heard 30 plus years ago, he gave that infamous speech that is still so motivating and still rings true today, that speech on the ESPYs, when he joined forces with ESPN to create the V Foundation for Cancer Research. One of the things that Jim talks about is that he was walking the halls of the hospital and ran into a researcher. And the researcher said, man, the things that I've got going on in my lab are really great. It's going to be groundbreaking, and it could really impact the way cancer is being treated. And Jim was so excited. And then the researcher kind of stopped him in that excitement and said, but I have to find it in 2 weeks or the lab gets shut down. And Jim was like, what are you talking about? The lab gets shut down. That's not okay. He's like, after 2 weeks, my funding runs out. And so that is really what the premise of the V Foundation is we are looking at the new investigators, the new pioneers in research, and we're funding those labs.
Okay.
The government, the NIH, those types of grants are fantastic. And we all know right now, even some of those funds may not be there as prevalently as they had in the past, but they really focus on the proven success of a research where we go in and we say, you've got this really great idea. Let's see where it goes.
Everything.
So a lot of what we do at the V Foundation is funding those new ideas, those innovative, creative ideas.
So new ideas, being innovative, probably educating too, right? So educating the public. Sound like it kind of started with ESPN of, hey, this is what our cause is, this is our mission. And then as they're looking at supporting new things in the lab that's up and coming, do you think that maybe even just that initial thought process on, hey, the time is now, there was great urgency then at that time when there was only 2 weeks left, you said?
Yeah, absolutely. And that was it. It's saying the time is now to stand up and give to the V Foundation, to give to these researchers to make sure that they're able to find those cures.
And now every time something new comes out, talk to us a little bit about the development, I'm wondering, of the labs and the different things that are up and coming for you through the V Foundation. Is it supporting different types of cancer on different stages? Is it protocol? Can you share with some of the listeners of actually what is put behind that and how they know what they're actually supporting when they help support the V Foundation?
Yeah, so we have our scientific advisory board, which consists of different doctors, MDs, PhDs, researchers, lab workers, all of that, that will actually go through each one of the grants that we receive, or the grant applications, that we receive. And so they go through, they look at the best and the brightest of these applications, and then they approve them for funding. Hopefully, we have enough funding within our pools that we can fund all of those grant applications or those approved grant applications. Fortunately, there are some applications that are so good, but unfortunately, right now, we just don't have the funding for them. And so we put them on wait lists and we wait for our fantastic donors to step up to the plate and say, this is the research that I want to be able to fund and help get going in the labs. So yeah, we don't, as a fundraiser, I do not specifically decide which applications get approved or not. We leave that to our best and brightest minds through our scientific advisory board.
What's one of the things that you're really proud of right now? Maybe a new process that has gone through. We call everything here really focus, right? So when we think about focus, we'll talk about what it means to you. But when we're looking at a process, even when it comes to what the donors we're supporting, can you share with us any mission lately that you feel like highly successful on in your career, that maybe something helped certain members' livelihoods, maybe cancer recipients? Can you share with us some of that?
So last year at Wine Celebration, which is one of our largest fundraisers that we do throughout the year, we had one of our grantees there that received the Mike Krzyzewski grant. And he, as most people know, Coach K was very good friends with Jim Valvano, and his family has been huge supporters of the V Foundation. And so she received his grant. And they had breakfast that morning, and Mike and Mickey were talking to this grantee, and um, he said, okay, she's like, I'm almost ready to go to clinical trials. He's like, okay, well, what do you need? And she's like, about $1 million. So that night, Coach K stood up in front of the audience and told this grantee's story and what she needed. And literally, I think in 2 minutes, there were enough paddles raised to
Wow.
fund the $1 million for her clinical trial, or for her trial to go then for clinical trials. So absolutely incredible. Just the support that the V Foundation has. It's
Sure.
when I
So
started.
its reach is so big then, right? So the reach is so big. Did you feel that kind of reach when you first started? And I know that you kind of were reassessing, I think even during COVID and the pandemic. And what kind of was the outcome from that? Did that inspire any of that movement?
I will say this: when I first joined back in 23, so I wasn't here at the V Foundation during the pandemic and things like that. But I will say when I joined in 23, the only way that I could explain this organization was it felt like a rocket ship. There was so much momentum. There was so much fuel and excitement and just energy at the V Foundation that I felt so lucky and so blessed that I just had a seat on this rocket ship as we were taking
Hmm.
off. Um, the amount of love and support that our donors have, and the belief that they know that we are spending, because one of the things that I love at the V Foundation is 100% of all of our donations go directly to cancer research. So it doesn't go to overhead. It doesn't go to the marketing costs. None of that. It goes strictly and straight to cancer research. And so you could just feel that within the organization, but then just talking to the donors and the supporters that we have. One of the things that I always say is it feels like a family reunion, when you're talking to people inside, and I say outside, but
That's
really they're
fun.
inside as well
Yeah.
if they're raising money and doing events for us. So
Yeah.
um,
So with doing that in the events and wearing a hat, you're a mom, you're a friend, you're a professional. So to the people on the podcast, what is your primarily focus on balance between staying present, riding this rocket ship that you're on currently, and balancing all the roles in your daily life?
I have my son is 13 years old. He's in seventh grade. So getting into those teenage phases now. I always say, with my job, I have to travel. And if I am going to be away from my child for any moment in time, it has to be for a really good reason. And I think that there's no better reason, than to be fighting for cancers, research for lives out there. Um, and I think that so often as parents we teach our children so many things, right? How to read, how to write, how to drive, how to work hard, how to be great members of society. And one of the things that we cannot forget is that we also have to teach our children about philanthropy and giving back in whatever way that is. And I feel that with my job, and I'm able to instill that in twofold in Landon, through him seeing what I work
Sure.
for, but then also giving back ourselves in so many different ways.
Well, and they want to be a part of that, right? They're like a sponge. So, children are like a sponge that I feel like they can see right through us and they want to be a part of that mission. And I think what's really nice is even what you've shared is just generally people aren't going to know and realize that the V Foundation is pretty nice and unique, that's setting apart just the incredible things that all of the foundation and the funding, that it 100% of that donation goes directly to research. That's, in itself, that's like almost a statement that can be on anything that you guys are doing, from putting data out there to information. How did it bridge the gap to that? Can you share with us how that made it possible that anyone that is donating and supporting the V Foundation, of how it goes to directly to the research, and just, gosh, that's game changing.
Yeah, God, I love that you use that phrase too, game changing. Um, so what, when the V Foundation first formed, we had an endowment that pays for all the overhead. Like I said, the marketing, the salaries and things like that, because we truly wanted our supporters' dollars and our donor dollars to be able to go to the mission and to the research that they want to be funding. So they can, like you said before, we have all sorts of different cancers that we support. And so if you have that personal story, whether maybe your mother or a sibling or a spouse or a father, whoever, a best friend,
Okay.
suffered from a specific type of a cancer, you can earmark your dollars to that type of cancer and know that 100% of your dollars
Ah,
will be going directly to that. So, um,
okay. That's nice to know then too. So you're meaning that the donors and the legacy and any other impact. So when people choose to leave a planned gift through the V Foundation, then they can go ahead and use whatever inspires them. Maybe it's a friend, a family, a relative, something that they're in the community supporting. They can actually earmark that to that specifically type of cancer as well.
absolutely, yes. And, I think that that's one of the big things is that, especially when you leave a planned gift like that, you want to feel very tied to what your money is going to be going to. And so I think it's very important that, whether it's general cancer, because maybe you're just going to say, I have not ever been touched by cancer, and neither is my immediate family. And so I just want to give back and say thank you, or this is a kind of an insurance policy
Sure.
for my future generation in case somebody does have it. Or, maybe you want it to go to breast cancer or to colon cancer or whatever the cancer may be. Um,
Sure.
Absolutely. Yes. I think that that's important. And then during your lifetime, I am able to share with you how your funds are going to be utilized and be able to
Mm.
show you in your lifetime the impact that your dollars will be making in the future because of other people like you that have given these legacy gifts.
Wow. So share with us, how does that look? How do you respond back to the recipients? Of how that's helping them, because sometimes I think it's, yes, it might be a general or what you hear in the general population. I can tell you that the V Foundation for me, cancer runs really high in both sides of my family, but we lost my father a few years back to esophageal cancer. So we know, I particularly know and saw the day to day of his progression and things that he went through and the types of treatment and what he had available at the time. Um, so some of those things are very near and dear to myself. So how are you communicating back to, let's say, some of the donors of how those funds are being distributed, especially when it's so family heartfelt as well for some, even, in the journey?
I think that one of the biggest hesitancy, a lot of people, the things that you say don't talk about at the dinner table, right? It's politics, religion, and finances. And so it is very difficult for people to talk about their own mortality, death, and then also finances. And I work with both of those pieces, right? Um, but I tell the donors, and so a lot of times maybe we are in their planned gift, their estate, their will, but they don't want to let
Hmm.
us know because, oh gosh, well then you're going to be hounding me about when I'm going to die or how my health is. And it's like,
Yeah.
absolutely not. Actually, that's the opposite. I want you to live for a very long time. I want you to be around for the next 100 years, all the things. However, I cannot properly say thank you once you've passed. And I
Sure.
can't keep you tied to the mission and let you know the impact that you're making if I don't know about the gift that you're planning to make. And then also,
And the mission is so good. I just want you to pause there before you move on because the
yeah,
mission is so imperative. You're right. The mission, and we call it the same, right? So you're helping people in just a little bit different way than we are within our focus process. Because yes, we're helping establish the trust and the wills and the planning and the income and what do they have that's really important to their why. But when we talk about this mission, we kind of call it giving while living here. And I love that you're saying, hey, if we don't know about this, it might be in the will, might be in the trust that's coming, but we want to share in this. We want to spread the word. That's how you continue to have more donors. And then the ones that are giving can truly feel inspired that they're making a difference. So here we call it giving while living. I love to hear you saying, gosh, we want to be able to know what is their mission, share it now. These things shouldn't be held secret or unspoken type of words. It's absolutely amazing that you're bridging this gap to the mission. So carry on. I think that's inspiring.
no, absolutely. And I think that is partnering, for me personally, when I get to partner with somebody like yourself that looks at the financial planning of I call them donors, you call them clients, or however you want to see it, but they're the same, right? Like we want to make sure that they feel good about their future. And in the
Mm-hmm.
morning when they wake up, they've got enough things to worry about, whether it's getting kids off to school or is it going to rain today, whatever the case may be. The last thing that they should have to be worrying about is their finances. And if something happens to me, do I know where the money is going to go? Is it going to be in a good place? And it's like, gosh, talk to you, talk to me. We will make sure that you feel so secure in your future and
Yeah.
knowing that you are going to be making an impact on the next
Making an
generation.
impact and having a plan, right? So
Yes.
we need to make sure that people have a plan to make adjustments, make that impact, to really be following that mission, especially when they're so passionate about things like this, which is quite amazing. Um, do the donors, would you say some of the donors or the families, do they ever connect much with you on that personal why to be sharing this mission, almost like that amazing domino effect of energy is contagious, right? And it's so amazing that people can give back and see insights should be able to help with the research of cancer. And I just wondered what you're seeing for many personal stories. I've seen it in January, right? So Coach K came up. He gave some excellent information. I was there for part of a fundraiser event. He had everyone inspired. But how often are we seeing this, and how can we help with a focus firm that's helping design plans continue to just kind of spread the word of your mission?
So one of the first things that I do when I talk to a donor is I always ask them, tell me about your V story, because everybody has one. If not, they wouldn't be talking to me at whatever point they are. And so I love for donors to tell me their why first, whether it's because they remember Jim Valvano and the NC State championship winning basketball team, right? Or they love Coach K, or they love Dick Vitale, or if it's because, they have their own personal story of my mother went through this or my father went through this.
Mm-hmm.
And they know that we are funding some of the best and brightest researchers, and they believe that we are putting our dollars to what is going to make the biggest impact in the future. And so, honestly, just listening to their story and their passion, and then being able to really get them the information to show them how our researchers are doing what they're doing. Um,
Yeah.
we call them the impact reports, or the stories that are either online or that we can share personally, individually. But yeah,
Yeah, and
it's all
quotes and
starts with them.
missions and yeah, it
Mhm.
all starts with them because it was what Jim Valvano's famous quote, "Don't give up. Don't ever give up."
Yeah,
And,
I've got the saying
oh,
on
you
my wrist.
do.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you sure do. It's kind of like it's just kind of like a rally and a mission. And when you take a look, here we talk about just show up, always show up, be there. Try to be the inspiring one, listen and look for ways to share different stories. And so that's so amazing that you have that right there on your wrist and never give up. What does that never give up mission and meaning on your wrist then truly mean to you? How would you give the listeners a piece of encouragement with that?
You know, again, talking about Jim's speech and it being so relevant still today, I think that the don't ever give up means so many things to so many people. To share a personal story, my son has dyslexia, and it is such a struggle for him every day to just be able to pick up a book and read. And so, even hearing Jim's speech every year at the ESPYs and then during V Week in December, he's reminded, don't give up, don't ever give up. And again, whether you're going through your own cancer battle or whatever your battle is in this season of your life, don't give up. Don't ever give up. There are people out there that are fighting with you and fighting for you. And so just to have that sense of optimism and hope, I think resonates beyond even what he realized when he said those words.
Yeah. And hope, really, right? So hope, and I think staying determined and strong, and faithful, and really just having kind of a team around you of supporters, of family, and the V Foundation is pretty amazing. Um,
Absolutely.
oh, it's so great, and I'm so excited to have you, here with us. Is there anything else that you want to add, to kind of the mission, the V Foundation, or really just this energy and this synergy, all around the V Foundation today?
Well, I would encourage anybody, if you want more information on the V Foundation, you can go to v.org. That is, and actually, if you look under the planned giving, you will see my contact information. So feel free to reach out, even if it's not about a planned gift. Maybe you just want to talk about ways that you can help currently while you're still living. That would be fantastic as well. Or maybe you just have a personal story that you want to share with me. I would love to hear that as well. But like I said, go to v.org where you can learn more. But again, I think that it's just so important that as we're planning for the future, that we think philanthropically as well, and then share that with the people that we love and share that with the organization so we can truly say thank you and cultivate and let you know how your dollars are going to be spent well after you're gone.
Absolutely. Yeah, we call it part of our strategic legacy plan here, the S and part of our focus. I love that we can kind of team up and be sharing some of the same mission. So, Kelly, thank you so much for sharing just kind of the incredible, incredible work that the V Foundation is doing, against this fight against cancer. We're so proud and happy to have supported your mission and all of what you stand for with the golf outing, other personal times we've done so in January with Coach K. I know our listeners will be inspired. We're going to keep sharing the story of the V Foundation with the families that we serve. And for anyone who wants to learn more, Kelly shared with you to go to the v.org, visit there. And until next time, please all stay focused and keep leading with purpose. Thank you for today.